Rebellions are built on hope.
And welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon. I am joined by our co-host, our friend, Oti. How are you doing today, Oti, on this Star Wars Saturday?
Hi. Yeah, I'm doing great. I'm a little bit tired. I've been doing a little bit of cleaning, doing some handyman work I haven't done in a while. So, yeah. By the way, today I did something. I'm getting my things together, and today I threw a Ethernet cable from the router straight to the computer to avoid all the disconnect things I have. And I checked, I have very steady internet, but for some reason I keep getting the message on that check my connection, and like I don't know what else to do. So I think it's something with StreamYard, or I don't know.
It might be. I don't know how it works from my side to your side over there. I bought less than a year ago some of those Wi-Fi hot points from Google for my computer, and first they worked, they didn't. They've been working fine, but yeah, sometimes I get your connection is low, and but my Wi-Fi is right there. How can it be low? It's right there.
No, so I usually, for example, for work, I use a lot of internet, and I never have issues. And for some reason, when I log in here, boom.
Yeah, it happens. Yeah,
hoping for a smooth ride today.
Yeah, it's the Empire. They don't want us out there saying the truth. Communication breakdown. But you saw Ant-Man, the big movie out there that everyone has thoughts about them. We'll talk about them later at the end. People saying the most Star Wars movies, so all the MCU. And I wanna get your take on it. I haven't seen it yet, so we'll do a quick spoiler-free review, but we'll get to that in a minute. But first, thanks to everyone that's joining us today. As always, if it's your first time being here, thank you, and make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you don't miss any of our episodes when they drop on Saturdays. Leave us a comment down below of any of the topics we'll be discussing today, and thumbs up. Give us that thumbs up, like, whatever you guys want to do, bell. And if you're listening to this on the audio podcast when it comes out, also tip of the hat to you guys, and ratings and review are always welcome. And if it's not your first time, then it's even better. Thanks for coming back week after week. Hello there to our friend Brennan, who's here. Page turners that were not. Check out his podcast. He's dropping some cool episodes. He just had a new one a couple of days ago, so go check that out. Yep. Anyone else that's in the chat, just give us.
Not for now.
Just a little high out there. All right, I think it's time. Let's go ahead, Oti. I mentioned before we start, we're going to do things a little bit different. Instead of starting with Star Wars news, we're going to start with the Bad Batch. So if you guys are ready, I'm not ready. Let's talk Star Wars and Star Wars on TV. Star Wars on TV. All right, the Star Wars on TV, 2 weeks, or last week, I should say, we got 2 episodes of the Bad Batch. Very great episodes. I don't know if that's the way you should say. Very good episodes. And kind of, for people like myself, have been a little harsh on the show structure. We're supposed to go last week was very kind of moving. That's what we call the story of the show forward. And then this week, it came back to that adventure of the week that I also love. And before we go, hello, Dale. Thanks for joining us, Dale. Oti, but we're back to those adventure of the weeks that we've been having for most of this season. Are you surprised that we went back to that? But it's still carried over with last week's episode. Something that we talked about, we wanted to see, is how the Bad Batch, especially Omega, was going to deal with Echo leaving. And that's a very big part of this episode that we just saw a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no, so I was not surprised that we came back to the adventure of the week.
Yeah,
it's very much what the show is. So I'd actually say that the 2-part arc is the exception to the rule of this show. So I was not surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised with how much I enjoyed the episode. I told you I fell asleep watching it the first time.
Not a good sign, but
no, never a good sign. But I've been having hard weeks at work, so I sat down and watched it. I stopped working like at 11 p.m. and I was like, yeah, I'd probably watch the Bad Batch. Like, fell asleep. But I finished it a couple hours ago, and I really liked it. I really liked the episode for different reasons.
Yeah, it was a very fun adventure of the week. I said a couple of weeks ago that this show, it's called the Bad Batch, but it's Omega show. We need to be okay with that. If you're expecting for her to take a back seat, I just saw or read a report, not a report, an article earlier today about Omega kind of being the lead and people still complaining that she might be too childish. And well, she's like a 9-year-old girl, but that's okay. But she's the heart and soul of this show. And I'll say, even for as much flack as I give this show, they do a very good job in hitting those emotional beats. And this week wasn't an exception. Seeing how much Omega felt the absence of Echo, like she says week after week, they're a family. Even their ship getting stolen, that's our home. So for her,
Yeah.
and you mentioned last week, which she having to go again through the destruction of her home of Tipoca City, seeing that again, she's have to incur a lot of loss. So of course, having Echo kind of leave pretty abruptly was going to affect her going forward. So I'm glad that they didn't shy away from it, and that was a central point of this episode.
Yeah, so there were a couple lines that really stood out to me. One is when they're talking about moving on, like, "Oh, he's in another mission, we move on." That's what soldiers do, and she's like, "We're more than soldiers."
Yeah,
and that you mentioned, they're talking about the ship. Oh, it's just a ship. It's not. It's our home.
yeah.
And I think Omega's starting to maybe pierce that facade that these guys have on, that we're soldiers, loss is part of it, and we have to move on. So I really like that.
Yeah, it's a good change from last season, because last season most of her stories were connected to either Hunter or to Wrecker. Then this season it's Tech and Echo, and those three are taking the brunt of the season so far.
I love that you mentioned this, because while I was watching it earlier today, I was thinking about the same thing. Like, and it's interesting because it was mainly Hunter, and it always felt like the rest of the group was like, "Oh, this little kid that Hunter brought on," and Wrecker, he's the lovable big guy,
the uncle,
so, so it makes sense why he loves her. But I love that they're fleshing out her relationship with the rest of it, because she's like, "Oh, they're my brothers." Are they? And here they are, like, and even Echo, he's a character, Tech, a character that was basically a computer.
Yeah.
And they're fleshing him out a little bit. So I really enjoyed seeing that.
Yeah, Hunter hasn't had a lot to do this season, especially with Omega. He was
He's been absent.
Yeah, he was on the front line in that episode with the pirate when they were looking for whatever weird treasure. But apart from that, he hasn't done too much. So it's, like you said, very interesting to see this progression with the other two. And then the absence of Echo hits a lot harder. If it was just at the end of season 1, it's like, okay, they really didn't spend that much time together.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I like that they're doing that, because at a certain point, it's like, why do I care about these people?
Yeah, which I said before is one of the reasons I'm having trouble. Not trouble because I enjoy the show, but really connecting with, because I don't want to say too. It sounds harsh saying that I don't care for these characters, but I don't feel the same connection I do with a lot of other Star Wars characters. But they're starting to find a way to get people like myself invested in them. And like you said, Tech, which is this computer, I say he was my favorite at the end of the Clone Wars season 7, because I started seeing him more as a droid. And with that sense, okay, but now they're trying to flesh him out a little bit. And we'll talk, let's just go into it right now. A lot of people have said it a lot better than I have, because I don't fall in that camp, I guess. That Tech is this neurodivergent character and processes emotions and situations different than other people. And the way he wasn't engaging with Echo's loss the same way that Omega was really hit hard with people that kind of see relationships and emotions in that kind of different veil. Do you kind of notice this as this was going on, or what were your thoughts on it? Or were you oh, this Tech doesn't know anything?
No, you know what? I'm kind of like that. I tend to be very practical with emotions, and but it doesn't mean I'm a very emotional person. Like, I'll cry, I'll get very angry, but I try to be like, if something bad happens, I try not to get carried away and look at it like objectively and be like, well, shit happens, like whatever. So I do identify with Echo in that sense, because sometimes people will be like, dude, just get angry, get sad, like show something. I'm like, I am, but I'm not gonna show it. So
me,
I never really thought about it that way. So
it kind of depends of each other's kind of the way we deal with those situations. Me, same thing. I'm very emotional. It depends with who I'm with, and also if people around me are very emotional for some reason, and I say, okay, I have to be the solid one. I can't let myself also fall down. But let's get into the episode. So Sid, and we'll jump into Sid in a few minutes, sends them on this mission to get some weird mineral, Ipsium, I think it's called. She, for some reason, bought a mine on some weird planet. And be careful, there's some marauders over there. And let's park the ship 100 meters away behind this cliff. This cliff face that no one's going to see. But it's your fault if they get stolen. I really love this episode. I don't care. It's like the faster episode I really enjoyed. I love this one also. Poor Wrecker getting blamed for everything, even though he's carrying that whole load. It was fine.
I like the episode. I won't say I loved it, but I liked it for the reasons that we already mentioned. We got a little bit deeper into Tech. We get a little bit deeper into her relationship with the rest of the batch, especially Echo and Tech. So for those things, I really like the episode. Again, it was surprising because at first it was like, oh, okay, just another adventure of the week, but then they get stuck on the cave, and things start to come up, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting.
Another reason I really enjoyed it is not silly, but since I keep mentioning every week, since I just read Darth Plagueis, it starts with Plagueis and his master Tenebrous on a mine trying to mine this important mineral, and there's a cave in, and I won't spoil it, but something happens. I'm like, oh, this reminds me of the book I just read.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah,
it's like poetry. It rhymes.
It rhymes. Oh, we should write that down. It's like poetry. It rhymes. Should write that down and use it for Star Wars. When the ship got stolen, it's kind of it was obvious. They couldn't see it. Hunter said there is marauders or something out there. So
did you catch the Lion King nod?
Of course. My daughter said as soon as the Lion King.
It's like so. I loved how obvious it was. It's not like a little. It's not. No, it's the same scene.
You just need a last one at the end after everyone goes, and the last one kind of comes moment. But then poor Wrecker again. You gotta protect Dave. So, he just drops down, gets kicked 20 times. Let's talk about Sid real quick. Just kind of wrapping up the episode. They call her, hey, we need help. Our ship got stolen. Said, whatever. Either I'm dealing with something else, and then I'll send help in a few days.
I love that, by the way. Because she's like, fine, I'll help you in a couple of days.
In a few days. Just hold down that broken down town that doesn't have anybody. We already saw, again, in that faster episode when the duo team told them, oh, she's going to let you down or she's going to betray you, something along those lines. Are we starting to see that? Do you think that maybe by the end of the season, they're going to walk away from Sid just because she betrays them or doesn't come through for them?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'll tell you that when they called her and she's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, it's happening. Yeah. But it didn't happen. I don't think this was it. So we'll see. You know what? I'll say yes, because why would you set this up now and pay it off in 2 seasons?
After that faster episode, I thought that she was going to not sacrifice herself, but she was going to come to that point that help them or betray them. She's going to choose to help. But I don't know, after this week's episode, I think that they're going to part ways at some point. By the end of the season, I think they're going to part ways.
Okay.
Do you think that she had anything to do with the ship getting stolen?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. And I kind of thought about it, but then, Hunter kind of mentioned that there were people out there that might be on the lookout. So,
and she does mention like be careful of marauders.
Yeah, I don't know. Marauders or something. Yeah. All right, but like you, I think things are coming to a head for them. We're past the halfway point now. I think 7 more episodes. There's 16. I think it was 9, so 7 more episodes. we'll see where it goes. And where's Crosshair? We haven't seen him in about 5 or 6 weeks.
We haven't seen him since the third episode. It's
Mm-hmm.
been a while. It's been a while.
All right. So when do you think we're gonna see Echo again this season? We know he's with Rex. We're guessing that Code is gonna shackle up with Rex at some point and with Echo. Are we gonna see them again?
Yeah, I'll bet he'll be at the finale because
Yeah.
the finale is a two-parter. So
Mhm.
I think we're gonna get Cody, Rex, Echo. So
Everyone. I'll mention I think I'm getting pumped up for that finale. It's gonna be a big reunion of all the clones. It's gonna be interesting to see. And if we get more Mount Tantis and cloning and whatever's happening, because there was a big reveal at the end of season 1 and we haven't seen any payoff for it yet.
No. I think they'll probably start setting that up in the second half. But I've been kind of sad thinking, what if we get like the last stand of the clones?
Yeah.
That suck.
I mean, yeah, all stories need to come to an end at some point.
I mean, yeah, but it's not the same. Like the story ends versus they all die.
I don't think they're
except for
die.
Rex.
Yeah, we know Rex is around. Also, I don't think any of the main Bad Batch, apart from Crosshair, I don't think they're gonna die. I think they'll survive. At least this season, I think they're all making it out. I'm not gonna say that it's gonna be a sad ending.
I think I can agree.
All right, we'll leave it there. All right, so we'll put a wrap right now for our Bad Batch talk. We'll come back to it next week. I don't know. I didn't check what the title was for next week's episode, but again, I complain about the show, but they've all been good episodes. I'll say that. All right, who's here? There's someone else. Ooh, obviously, Subdued. Thanks for being here. Fiji knows the thieves. Thank you. Of course, Sid is involved. See, he knows something is happening. Okay. All right. Fiji was she the pirate, right? The one that was looking for
Wanda Sykes.
Yeah. All right. So let's go now to Star Wars news, Ati.
Star Wars news.
I know we're going a little bit out of sync or out of order this week. Not out of sync. We're pretty in sync today. All connections are working fine. All right, Oti, this was on my show notes. It came out, I think, yesterday. You reminded me right before we started. There was a report a couple of days ago, maybe yesterday, from the Hollywood Reporter. Now that Bob Iger is back, they're kind of rethinking Disney Plus. What's a movie? What's a TV show? What happened? What's Star Wars related? What should we know?
I gotta be very honest. I haven't read the article. I just listened to pundits I trust and read what they wrote. So that's where I'm at. And so basically, I think the gist of it was that Marvel will be thinking their production strategy and what they're releasing, because they're releasing a lot of content. So they're probably gonna start reducing the amount of content they're putting out there, and on the inverse side, Star Wars is going to start ramping up. But what I did see was that it's going to be like, it's not like all of a sudden they're going to give Star Wars $2 billion, go make everything you want.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're still going to be very conscious about budgets and how much each studio is spending. So, cool, I guess.
And we can see it already, because yesterday we have the first poster for Captain Marvel 2, The Marvels, and the movie got pushed back like 3 months. So maybe it's starting to give a little bit more breathing room between Ant-Man and now Miss Marvel, or The Marvels, I should say.
It got moved to November, but I think it got moved to November a while ago, because when I saw a poster, I was like, wait, November? And then I was like, oh, no, wait, they pushed it back. They pushed every Marvel thing back a while ago.
Yeah. It could be. But more Star Wars. So we have already, we have the Bad Batch, we have Mandalorian Season 3. We know we're getting Vision Season 2 in a couple of months. We're getting Young Jedi Adventure that same day on May 4th. Ahsoka, Skeleton Crew. So we still have like 4 more shows to come out this year. And then plus the Acolyte. It's not here because we talked about it 4 weeks ago that the new movie is supposed to be officially announced during Celebration.
That was actually mentioned in the article. That it's gonna be announced. And again, with everything Star Wars, take with a grain of salt, because even when Lucasfilm announces it, it's not
Yeah.
necessarily 100% gonna happen. But Hollywood Reporter is a good news
Yeah.
source.
Hmm.
So if they're saying that a movie's gonna get announced in Celebration, I'd put some bet in that, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, it has to. We've been talking about it, I don't know for how, since last year. They need to announce a movie soon. What do you think this means, excuse me, about ramping up more Star Wars? Do you think it's more TV shows, maybe doing movies again that we haven't seen one for 5 years?
I think it's movies
Yeah,
because
probably.
we know that streaming they're having a bumpy ride with streaming. Maybe they do like a last hurrah. Let's make 5 more shows and see what happens.
Yeah.
But I think they're gonna start moving to more movies.
All right. Well, we can all agree with that. Give us all the movies we want.
Oh,
We can.
you know what? I'll mention this when we talk about Ant-Man, but do smaller movies. You don't have to do a $250 million
Yes.
movie every single time. Like, yeah, I'm sure they'd love to make $1 billion, but if the movie costs 500 million to make, budget and advertising, you're
Yeah.
not getting that huge a return. So
Yeah. I don't know if it was maybe Indiana Jones 5 or something. I saw that the budget
it's
was over
ridiculous.
200 million. Like,
But
it
that's because
shouldn't
of the
be.
de-aging and
Oh, that's a very expensive tech.
I mean
But
that's why nobody wanted to make The Irishman because it was very expensive.
yeah, yeah, but that's a lot of wrinkles you need to take out in the Irishman.
But
But I agree, man. Give me smaller movies. We don't
do
need.
and I mean, if you want to make like a 90-minute Star Wars movie, I'm in. But
Mhm.
I, not everything has to be Rise of Skywalker. Not everything has to have this big fight at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
Do smaller things.
I think that we have to change the mentality of a lot of people, not just the big producers out there. A lot of the fans. Oh, Star Wars is a spectacle. It should be an event to go to a movies. If you do a small Star Wars in a movie, a lot of people are gonna be like, "This isn't Star Wars supposed to be." But I agree. I will take a 90-minute Star Wars movie, Solo too. I'll do it.
But I totally agree. Like, I don't want to go to a movie theater to watch a Star Wars and it just be like a political threat. I mean, I'd watch that, but that's not why I go watch a Star Wars. I want to see a spectacle. But it doesn't have to be Avatar 2. You can do smaller spectacles. I don't know. That's just me. And when we get to Ant-Man, I'll talk a little bit more about it. But I just want to say whatever I say about Marvel, I think it applies to Star Wars too.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I'll say also, I'm thinking about going to see Ant-Man tomorrow, like I mentioned. You said like $15 a ticket. If I want to use a regular 2D, not IMAX or anything. If I want to go, I have Regal here. It's not IMAX. I have RPX, which is the competition. It's like almost $18. I'm like, so I don't want to pay that much, like you said, for a thriller that's just going to be sitting there for 2 hours just sweating. But
you know how much my IMAX ticket to cost for?
$13.
14.
Oh, so close, man. See, just a regular 2D movie here. But I'll say it's reserved seating, leather couch, so you can lean back. It's a pretty nice theater, so I can't blame them for that. But it's an expense.
When you come to Puerto Rico again, I'll take you to the Montelledra New Cinema. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
All right, we'll make a date out of it. Yeah. All right, as we move to our next story, I see 2 comments. So some new comments out there.
I'm sorry, I'm very tired.
That's fine. Don't fall asleep. This isn't
no. Okay, so
yeah,
I actually haven't touched on that at all.
Yeah.
Oh wait, but the Empire thinks they're dead. So.
Yeah, but she's walking around the Senate building. So I'm just gonna read this for the people listening on the audio podcast.
Oh, yeah.
They said, let's put it back up. Omega has a high price on her head, so Sid will turn her in as well. That it's a good point, and we'll see. And again, this plays out a little bit with Mandalorian and Baby Yoda. Mo is here. Thanks for joining us today, Mo. Hope you're having a nice day.
Que es la que hay.
Yeah, we're gonna do a Spanish-only episode. I know we tried it a few weeks ago, but we're gonna do one. All right, so let's jump now to little Mandalorian talk. I have my Mando shirt. Yeah.
If we do a Spanish episode, you gotta let me know ahead of time, because when I'm gonna do English episode, I gotta do the Luthen thing beforehand, like getting
You gotta go
character.
already, bro. No, we'll plan it ahead of time. We'll get some Spanish speaking guests probably. All right, so let's go to the Mandalorian. This, I'll say, I have my notes on my phone, so I'm gonna be reading from it. I thought we are gonna get more from this because Empire Magazine has been for about 2 weeks touting this big 20-page article they have for Mando. The magazine came out
And it
on
sucked.
Thursday, and I haven't seen anything about it. So
Okay.
maybe did you read everything? Because I haven't seen. I thought everyone was gonna be posting all these big quotes and everything. It's like,
you know me, Alberto. I'm all about visual things and things that hit me in the face. And I opened the article. Pictures, not so many pictures. Okay.
All right, so I'm gonna just read a few of the quotes that were released before the article came out. We'll start with Jon Favreau. So Jon Favreau on why Grogu and Mando reunited on the Book of Boba Fett, and this has been a big talk among Star Wars Twitter. So get ready, stretch. You gotta stretch. We couldn't just hit a hard reset. It's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds for people who may not have seen the Book of Boba Fett, but I think the Book of Boba Fett offered time to pass. You saw what Mando was without Baby Yoda, and we saw what Grogu was like without the Mandalorian, and neither of them was doing too good. So them coming back together was a really good plot point that allows us to jump back in season 3 while maintaining the central relationship. All right, Oti, before I get your take on that. So I've been very vocal about saying that I didn't want Grogu back with Mando so early on. I think they needed more time to pass before they reunited, even if it was at the end of season 3 of The Mandalorian, maybe even season 4, because for me, that story had run its course. And now it was more about Din Djarin figuring out his path moving forward. I don't mind too much that they reunited in Book of Boba Fett. I mind that it happened so quickly. So for me, it's a surprise that Jon Favreau says, oh, it allowed time to pass, because we don't know how much time has passed. Could have been a week, maybe a year. We have no idea. And I don't think we saw really that it was going that bad for both of them, because we didn't get enough adventures with them separate. So that's my big issue. But out there on Twitter, it's people saying, you suck for putting this on Book of Boba Fett. People don't know what's going on. We'll get into that, but your take on his comments, and then we'll jump into the other side.
Let's be honest. The reason why Baby Yoda can't leave is because money
talks. He's right there. I hate that guy. Look, I got like 7 things, but I don't hate him. But
you don't hate him. Come on.
I know. I'll say every time that I see him, I'm like, oh crap, he got me. He's so damn
cute. Like
spinning the chair.
He's just spinning in the chair. Like, come on. So that with that out of the way, so I never minded them reuniting, because it was gonna, like, I don't think anyone saw that episode and thought Baby Yoda's never coming back. Was I surprised how fast they did it? Yes, totally. Because Boba Fett came out like a year after.
Few months. No, I saw a year. Yeah, it was at the end December. The last week of December it came out, and Mando had finished. I think like maybe January or February. December before maybe.
Yeah, so I was surprised on how fast we went to that. In universe, I don't know how much time passed.
We don't know.
I think they try to do the whole thing like, oh, he's back bounty hunting, but I was like, is this his first job? Is this his first job since Grogu left? I don't know. Yeah. We don't know.
He's cutting his head open, his leg open with a sword. He doesn't know.
Yeah. So I get your point, but I never really like minded at all, because for me it was like. You know what? I would have hated more if season 3 was a whole season of Mando on himself, figure it out, and then at the end, because that would have been a filler season.
What?
You're said out.
It. I should kick you out, but you have power to come back. Yeah. Again, to me, we don't know how much time had passed, and the emotional punch we all got with that when they got separated. I don't want to say devalues, because we haven't seen the Mandalorian. It's been like 2 years since that season ended, so it gives us enough time. But to happen so quickly, at least for myself in the universe, it kind of really just give it more time.
No, I totally get that. I totally get that, and I think it's very much an execution thing because I I think they could have had their cake and eaten it too. Like maybe we could have gone Grogu in the third episode of
Mhm.
Mandalorian, and then we get those 2 episodes in Bad Batch in Book of Boba Fett, and then a couple episodes in season 3,
Mhm.
and then they get back together.
Yeah.
But whatever, it is
Do you
what it
think
is.
they should have done like the first 2 episodes of season 3 being those 2 episodes from Book of Boba Fett? You can only change a few couple of things, so it doesn't affect the story of Boba Fett that much.
I
And
I
have those
don't
episodes.
I don't remember if I mentioned it when we were covering it, but I've always thought they should have done like a special. Like
Yeah, could have been.
here's this special event of 2 episodes, and here you go.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have minded that at all.
Yeah, would have been good. So let's jump into first. I say that we got a few more comments. What people?
Oh,
What are
okay.
the chats saying right now? And then we'll jump into another thing.
So the based on Paper Moon. So it was I have not read. I
Yeah,
don't
me
know
neither.
I don't know what Paper Moon is. Sorry, Dale. The little girl thing. Wait, which little girl?
I'm guessing it's Paper Moon.
Oh, okay.
The same thing.
Okay. Go to spend time with. Go to spend time with Luke, and we still could have followed his story. I mean, man. Yeah, I get that, but I think it's a slippery slope because then we have to have Luke in everything.
Yes.
And I'm not necessarily opposed to having Luke, but you know, the Mandalorian budget is not as big as everyone thinks.
It's not that 200 millions we just talked about.
Precisely.
Are we getting Luke in season 3? I'm gonna say no. Saving for he's coming back in Ahsoka, I'm pretty sure.
But you know what? I'll go with what you just said. Yeah.
Right.
We won't get him in season 3. We'll get him at the end, I think, when everything comes together. I mean, dude, come on, Luke Skywalker versus Thrawn or something. Like, oh
man! And then Thrawn.
You know how many people would lose their minds? Those people who spent so much time with the original Thrawn trilogy. Oh my god.
Yeah, I haven't read it, but and then Thrawn just throws in, yeah, I used to. I was with your father, just flying around the unknown regions. I had him working for me as a Skywalker.
We went to Batu once.
To what? All right, so let's jump into real world and people complaining online about what a disservice this is to all the fans that didn't watch the Book of Boba Fett, and they're gonna see Grogu in season 3 and they're gonna lose their mind because they don't know what the hell is going on. And this was a big thing on Twitter, at least for about 3 days. I stayed away from it.
No, you didn't.
I didn't.
You tweeted a couple things.
Yeah, well, it was making fun. My thing. What are your thoughts on it? Then I'll say mine if you want.
I told you, Alberto, I've been having long weeks, so I was very grumpy with this. Because I'm a firm believer that creators need to trust their audience and just, tell the story you want to tell and have them figure it out. And seeing this is like, you guys literally want everything spoon-fed. Like, and in a way, it's like this is the show where Din Djarin every 5 minutes looks at the camera and tells you what's happening. So, and we got that clip where he tells Grief Garga everything that happened in like
30 seconds.
Sentences. So it's like, why are people worried? Again, I don't know the views number, but I would expect everyone who watched season 2 of Mando to watch Boba Fett and those same people to go watch season 3. I don't know. I think it's a dumb argument.
Yeah, I'll say it's pretty dumb. And I have two minds where I agree when people saying, oh, this reunion shouldn't have happened in a different show. I understand. Okay, maybe leave it for their show.
That's valid.
But then going so far as making articles about it, that's pretty stupid. But saying, oh, what about the casual fan that didn't see Book of Boba Fett? If you're watching The Mandalorian for 2 seasons, you're not that casual of a fan, and you're probably going to figure out what's going on anyways. And if you're really a casual fan that doesn't watch anything else, you're not going to be mad. You've seen the trailers, you've seen TV spot. What's Baby Yoda doing? Oh, let me Google it.
And
Oh, my friend's gonna tell me, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna get a previously on the Mandalorian, and we'll see it.
we got a previously on in Kenobi about the prequels, like movies that everyone watched.
Yeah,
And yes, I'm assuming everyone watched it. If you're watching Obi-Wan Kenobi,
yeah, and oh yeah, you might wait, what? Anakin, what?
there are prequels.
The high ground. Um, but also, if you're such a casual fan that that's the only thing you watch, you won't care. You're like, what? Baby Yoda's back? Okay, whatever. Let me just enjoy the show. I don't think people are gonna care. So I understand why you might say this should happen in a different series, but it's a non-issue. It's gonna be explained, and we're not gonna care about it.
Yeah. So okay, let's go over a couple of things. So Dale, going back to what we were talking about, Luke, he's saying that we could have had Luke exploring. Yes, definitely, and Ahsoka. Okay, so he mentions that we could have had him with Ahsoka training, and I'll go to his next comment because it's related. You'd have to resolve Ahsoka's fears of Grogu turning. So, Dale, the way I see it, and again, I could be terribly wrong, and the Ahsoka show comes out and proves me wrong. I think that the Ahsoka show will happen somewhere in between the Jedi episode in season 2 of Mando, and the episodes in Book of Boba Fett, because I don't know if you guys, and Alberto, you could comment on this, if you thought the same way I did, but I saw Ahsoka a little bit differently in the way she, like, came about herself. Because in the Jedi episode, she's like, I don't know if this is like, and then in the next time we see her, she's like, oh yes, Wise Master Skywalker, he's gonna train him well. Yes. So I think something happened to her in between that changed her point of view a little bit.
Man, it's so difficult because similar to what we talked about, we don't know how much time passed between season 2 of Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett. We all know that the end of Rebels, that kind of post scene of Rebels, happens after Mando season 2 when she goes find Sabine. So we don't know exactly where everything falls. So I could see what you're saying, that the Ahsoka show kind of falls in between these two, and maybe not all of it, but parts of it.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I see, because Ahsoka was very violent at the beginning. Just to find out where Thrawn is, he's mowing down all these people. When last time we saw her, she was this semi-sane, I'm not a Jedi, whatever. And she was very difficult. And that's, a lot of people had trouble kind of making, okay, this isn't the Ahsoka we're used to. But yeah, she was a lot more relaxed, more Jedi-like, we should say, by Book of Boba Fett.
More Qui-Gon.
Yeah. And we never saw that that meeting between her and Luke for the first time, which I don't want to see it. I know we're going to get it. I don't want to see it.
I think I've always said this. That's for me a way too big of a story to tell. Just leave it to the imagination.
And we're going to talk about that in a minute when we jump into some of Filoni's comment about how he doesn't like stories to end and whatever. But yeah, I see your point that there might be some time in between all those 3 shows. And again, like you said, we're going to have to wait for Ahsoka to come out and see.
Yeah, Dale, he mentions that he's arguing a moot point, and yes, you are. But, we're fans of this. This is what we do. And it's okay as long as we're being respectful. And Brennan mentions that if you haven't watched the Book of Boba Fett, you should, because it's a great show. And I agree.
Yeah. Just give me the Vespas. Dude, I will die if I see the Vespas in Mandalorian. And it's like, are those, I don't know, so VSPs or whatever? What are those machines?
Oh, they look like Super Rangers or something.
They're very colorful and have a lot of mirrors. Because his old
this is an edgy show.
Yeah. And probably just Scott Vance rolls up in one of those. Since my injury, I can't use my big speed. I need a little one that doesn't go too fast. Oh man! All right,
you have it decorated as the LGBTQ flag, and this is my macho. Vespa. Oh my god, I would die. That would be awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Give me the best ones. Give me. Remember when Drax? That's her name, right? Drax or something like that. Rash. When she showed up on that trailer, people were going crazy as she was gonna be the lead of the show.
I would protect her at all costs, and I hate her now.
All right, so our second story from that Empire magazine. Again, I'll read from my phone. It's about Filoni not being a fan of hard endings, which I have. So Filoni, regarding the ending to The Mandalorian Season 2, said, there's a big question at the end of Season 2 of what will Mando do next? Is that relationship over? In life, things don't always come to a perfect ending. I think things can continue on and your adventure continues every day. I used to think about it with Clone Wars all the time. When is the battle over? When is that struggle over? Because it culminates in Revenge of the Sith, but that can be the ending for that show, even though that's the ending of that era. He continues on with the Mando Season 2 ending. I think that in some ways you want each season to have a feeling of an ending, but in a lot of what I've done, I don't like hard endings. Filoni adds, it's always sad for me when an adventure ends and the characters are seemingly done with their journey. So I think there's always that little bit of hope that something can continue. And I'll say, I think this is the reason I have trouble with some of Filoni's storylines.
Okay.
And he put it right there that he doesn't like when things end. And I think that sometimes things should end, come to the natural conclusion. Or like you just said with Luke and Ahsoka meeting, we don't need to see it. Leave that. A lot of Star Wars was our imagination, our headcanons of what came before and what's going to happen afterwards. I think everything that Filoni is doing, and I'm probably in the minority because Filoni, people love everything he's been doing, especially if you grew up with the Clone Wars. And that's what we keep seeing. What the Bad Batch is Clone Wars Season 8. Now we're getting Ahsoka, which is Rebel Season 5. And all these stories not ending, that I think they should. We don't need to see every second of everyone's life, and I think that's what I'm starting to have trouble with Filoni's storytelling.
Okay. I don't quite see it that way.
Well, screw you, man.
Because I think on Clone Wars and Rebels, which are it's two big stories so far, and those stories come to an end. But I think they're very true to what he's saying. If you think about that last episode, that last scene is almost always like that hope that there's something more. In Clone Wars, we get that scene where Vader finds Ahsoka's lightsabers, he turns it on, and we know that leads straight into Rebels. But in the case of Rebels ends, and it's the opening to a new adventure coming. And when we'll get that, probably in Ahsoka, but we're not sure yet. And for years we speculated how, and I think that's what he's talking about, giving us an opening to, yes, this part of the story is over, but there's always room for more. And I think George was very much on that side of things. I don't know. You know what? I'll say yes, because Return of the Jedi spun off the entire EU, and not just Return of the Jedi, but each of the Star Wars movies spun off all those books and stories and future and everything. So,
but that, if I don't know, if you talk to George, he said there's two universes, his movies, and then everything else that doesn't.
Yeah, no, I agree, but it left with the hope that there was room for more stories, because the main characters didn't die, and there was room for more stories to happen. So I know I don't fall into any extremes with Filoni. I know there's people who don't like his storytelling, and there's some people who see him as God, and I don't fall into any of them. I really like him as a storyteller, but
I'll be careful, Brandon.
I like him as a storyteller, but I don't think he's a deity, as some people say.
Same. I mean, he's done a lot for Star Wars. I'm not gonna downplay it. And he carried the franchise when it seemed that it wasn't going not anywhere, but Clone Wars did a lot for it. And I know George was very involved in Clone Wars, but Filoni did a lot with it. Rebels, still my favorite of the animated series. Ahsoka and Rebels, my favorite Ahsoka. But
same.
Her story could have come to an end, right? When we see her battle with Vader.
With Ahsoka, I agree. I kind of think Ahsoka needs to die.
I'll say I don't need her to die. I don't want to be like everyone that we don't see in the future needs to die, but we don't need to see her till she retires. I don't know how old Tortugas get, but her story could have ended with the temple comes down, and we don't know. Is she alive or dead? We don't know. Make your
I like
mind.
that. I like that, and I agree with you. Again, it's not that I hate Ahsoka, but here I contradict myself. I like Filoni storytelling, but I think some stories,
Yeah.
maybe not a definitive ending, but an ending.
That's what I say. It does. We
Yeah.
don't need to see her die, but we don't need to see every single. And
Yeah,
then end of Rebels, which I love Rebels. It could have ended with Sabine just looking at Lothal and everything that they done, and then Ahsoka comes back. Okay, there's another story. It could have ended, but he wanted to keep going, and that's fine. Not my favorite.
That you mentioned, that's a great open ending to a
Yes.
story, because
I'll shut up because Brennan's about to leave us.
oh, come on, Brandon.
Right. No, well, again, I love Rebels. It's my favorite, maybe my favorite TV show so far in Star Wars. And I like Ahsoka. And I say all this, and I've loved all the shows that we've seen. So I keep enjoying all the series. We need to find something to.
Man, we're in an era of Star Wars where we have all these different storytellers, and I don't like it when people say this is the way.
Yeah.
You tell Star Wars stories. Like, no, there's a lot
Unintended.
of ways.
Pun intended.
Yeah. I guess.
All right, so let's jump. Our last news story about the Mandalorian. It's with Pedro Pascal, who's everywhere right now, and we love it. So Pedro Pascal on season 3, he says, "What I love most about season 3 is how much the world opens up in terms of Mandalore and Mandalorians. That means so many different facets of culture, politics, and rules and discoveries." And now I'm excited. This is when, okay, I like baby Grogu. It's very cute. I hope he does more than just use the Force to do spinnies. Okay, give me all this Mandalorian culture. We've seen all the trailers. We've seen a lot of Mandalorians doing a lot of things. Since that we're going back to Sundari, Bo-Katan is there on her throne. This is very interesting, especially with people that love Mandalorian culture. I've been getting more into it because of this show. I can't wait to see where this goes. And I love the confirmation.
Yeah, I love Mandalorians. It's funny because I've never been a huge Boba Fett fan, but I love Mandalorians. Because I like the Game of Thrones aspect of it.
Sure,
like it's very similar. So, those are music to my ears. So this could be straight up my alley.
Yeah, not much to add to it. Just give me. I love seeing when we saw Bo-Katan, Koska Reeves, and Axe Wolves come in season 2, dude, I fell in love. Like this is what I want. I love the Jedi, but seeing 4 Mandalorians working together was
I remember
sight for sore eyes, and now it's going to go times 30. It's gonna be awesome.
I remember in our Mando season 2 preview back in the day, I told Tony, I had this image of Boba Fett, Din Djarin, Sabine, and Bo-Katan, like standing on a line about to do something cool, and I'm still waiting for that. And based on the trailers, I think we'll get similar things.
Yeah, and then not just cool visuals. If we get more into the politics about it, because with Bo-Katan there, and I didn't write it down, but there's some comments from what's her name? Plays Bo-Katan.
Katie Sackhoff.
Katie Sackhoff, thank you. That says again that she knows this character so much, and she talks a little bit about the history behind it. So I'm very excited to see how they play into this.
Same.
And I just complain about Dave Filoni, but if you're gonna bring someone to expand on the Mandalorian culture, he's the guy.
Yeah.
And this is where his way of thinking and how his knowledge in Star Wars, I think, comes into play. More than leading Star Wars like some people want, this history, that's where he excels in my view. All right, and we don't have too much to wait until like 11 days, I think, for Mando season 3 to come out. Yes, it's not this Wednesday, it's the following one. So we're there.
Shit.
I know, in 2 weeks, we're going to be talking about the Mandalorian season 3. So that's going to be...
Oh, this is so cool. I'm going to have to wake up early.
Oh, yes. And I'm glad I still work from home on Wednesdays.
Oh, I work from home, but the thing is, Alberto, the first thing I do when I wake up is open Twitter. And I remember even with Obi-Wan, where I was waking up at 4 a.m. I would open Twitter while making coffee. I'm like, dude, no, this is waking up.
Yeah, I open Twitter. I scroll up, so I'm just looking like 8 hours ago, 7 hours, and when I get to like 4 hours ago, okay, the show came out.
Oh, no.
I won't.
The first thing
stop.
I'll do is tap the upper corner of the screen and.
No. All right. So yeah, well, 2 weeks. We'll say 2 weeks. Okay.
Awesome.
All right, and that brings an end to our talk about Star Wars for this week. We'll be back next week with Bad Batch episode 10 and whatever news comes out. Is that your? I'll say, like I mentioned on one thing I mentioned on Twitter, I was ready to do my unboxing of my Mayordomo Funko Pop. I was supposed to come here on Thursday and it got delayed. It never shipped. So
Yeah,
I'm a real bum. I went really Mayordomo meme. So happy to then stone face.
that was a good use of the meme, by the way.
I know, right? Finally. All right, Oti. So we're going to another, what is it? Part of the show. We talk about something else that's not Star Wars in a world between fandoms. All right, Oti, we're going to start with the big MCU movie that came out, the third entry into the Ant-Man trilogy. Who would have thunk it that Ant-Man gets 3 movies?
3 movies.
And Superman only got 1. But that's not part of this.
Different studios.
Ant-Man 3, Quantumania. I've been a fan of the Ant-Man series. I enjoy them. Not on my top 5 or anything, but they're enjoyable movies. Ant-Man 3 came out, split decision in terms between the reviewers and the fans. You saw it a couple of days ago. I might see it tomorrow. Okay. Non-spoiler review. I'll ask you a few questions, but first, kind of a non-spoiler talk on it.
Okay. I just want to mention no Last of Us this week for us.
Yeah.
I do have Ellie and Joel with me.
Oh.
I had them in
that needs a full.
So this is a part 2 figures. So this is an older Ellie that we're getting, and this is an older Joel that we're getting. But yeah, cool figures.
All right. Oh wait, I even went to the wrong side. Cool figures, man. Oh man,
I had them in a box since I moved, and I hadn't taken them out.
All right. Ant-Man.
Ant-Man. Okay. So I'll say that I went into this movie with a lot of expectations and a lot of hype, even as I was seeing the reviews that were not necessarily very positive. And shout out to Maggie, because Maggie, I think, was very hot in the movie, and Maggie and I have different views on these kinds of movies. So when I saw she was very positive on it, I was like, oh, I probably won't like it that much. But so, okay, I like the movie. I'll say that I did like the movie. I have a lot of issues with it, and I'll get into them. But getting the positives out of the way, I love the cast. I think the cast is amazing. Paul Rudd, I could see him do this character forever. He's fantastic. I can't remember the actress's name they brought in for Cassie, because they recast her from Endgame. She's amazing. She's just amazing. I instantly fell in love with her, and I want more of out of this character with that actress. So that was cool. Michael Douglas is having a lot of fun with this role as always, and that's always cool to see, such a huge actor just having fun with the role. Sure. Michelle Pfeiffer is also great. Jonathan Majors is Kang. He's the new Thanos of the universe. He's the next big bad for the Avengers to face. He's great as Kang. He really is great. He has a menace to him, because Jonathan Majors is a phenomenal actor, and he brings it. But going into my negatives, it's actually the character of Kang and the character of Janet Van Dyne. I love Michelle Pfeiffer in the role. I love it. But the movie, and this is to prepare you a little bit, the movie asks you to care a lot about her. Okay. And just a reminder, this is a character we just met at the ending of the last Ant-Man movie, and we haven't seen her since, I think.
Yeah.
She shows up for a second in Endgame. That's it. So the movie asks you to care about her from the very beginning, and it constantly tells you that you have to care about Janet, and I really didn't care. And so, because again, this is not spoilers, but the adventure is connected to her time in the Quantumverse. So it asks you to care. And they also do the same thing with Kang. The movie relies a lot on you caring about Kang, caring about his backstory, but they never do anything to make you care. It's just like, he's the next big bad. He's bad. He has intentions. Well, I'm not going to tell you much about them, but they're there.
Yeah, because this is a different Kang from the one we met in Loki. It's not He who remains is not him.
Yes. So in Loki, they hint at the fact that there are many Kangs, and if
Mhm.
you've read comics, you know that there are a lot of Kangs. And this is Kang the Conqueror. Like he's supposedly the big bad.
Yeah.
So I think the one in Loki was Kang the Benevolent. So he was,
Mm.
and he says this, he's like, oh, you killed me, but the next
Yeah.
guy who comes might not be as good.
Mhm.
So I don't know, man. I want to see Jonathan Majors as Kang in another movie with another script with another director. You know what? No, directing was not the issue. A better script. And I've seen people be like, "Oh, Kang is right. I'm rooting for him." I'm like, why? We don't
Yeah.
know his intentions. Like he briefly hints at them, but okay, sure.
Okay. Yeah, and if it's not I don't think it's a spoiler like you mentioned. There's a lot of Kangs out there, and that's kind of the one of the not perks, or one of the cool things about it. We're gonna be meeting all these different iterations of it. Do you think after seeing this movie, if it's not a spoiler, that we're gonna see different versions of Kangs going forward in the next kind of couple MCU movies, or are we just
Yeah.
sticking with Kang the Conqueror?
No. I think we're gonna see a lot of different Kangs. I won't get into that answer that much, but I
Sure.
think so. I think
All
so.
right. Sorry, one of my lights just died. Now I'm blinding myself. All right. So, question for you, because a lot of the reviewers, even before it came out, they were saying this is the most Star Wars MCU movie out there.
Yes.
And for myself, at least, the most Star Wars MCU movie has been the first Guardians of the Galaxy. That when I said here repeatedly, this is Star Wars. That's why it's one of my favorite MCU movies. And I was afraid for Force Awakens because I thought it wasn't gonna, be able to live up to what Guardians did in terms of feeling like this space opera adventure. And to me, that
Wrong
at
you
least,
were.
and Force Awakens so great. The first Ant-Man trailer for Ant-Man 3 felt like this is just Guardians of the Galaxy because of the world, this quantum realm. Is it it feels too much like they're trying to be Guardians, or why do people say it is the most Star Wars MCU movie?
It does feel a little bit like Guardians in that sense because it's the quantum verse, but it could be a different planet. Like
Yeah.
It's very weird. But Maggie tweeted out that she wanted whatever Peyton Reed
Peyton
was on
was
when
on.
he made the movie because it's wild.
Yeah.
So in that sense, but thank you for mentioning that because that brought me to my other point. I think you could have made this movie for $50 million less and had a better movie
Okay.
in your hands. Because I think that one of my problems with the movies, and it's one of my problems with Marvel,
Too much spectacle.
Since that, yeah, it's too much. Like it's another CGI army, and another
Okay.
faceless CGI army,
Okay.
another huge fight, another both sides clashing.
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
So what are they gonna do when Avengers 5 comes out?
Yeah, I know.
And I found myself missing Iron Man versus bigger Iron Man in Iron Man 1. I
The
found myself
Ironmonger.
missing Thor versus Loki in the Bifrost. Like
Okay.
I found my scale kinds of movies with Marvel. So I think they should start making smaller budget movies and we actually get better quality.
Yeah. Which different movie, but it's my only problem with Shang-Chi. That I almost watched it again yesterday. I love 3/4 of it, but the last five is like we didn't need it. Everything leading up to it, that those characters and the smaller was a lot better. It's one of the reasons I love Eternals. There's not this big battle at the end. It's just all of them just fighting, even though it's like 10 of them, but it's small, contained.
And so even when did you watch Black Panther 2?
Yes.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The ending is two CGI armies coming together and fighting. But the difference between this movie and Shang-Chi and Black Panther is that the first two arcs of those movies are very solid. Yeah. They are very, very solid. The first two acts in Ant-Man are good, but they're not as solid. Oh, and by the way, MODOK.
Oh, okay. I've heard either MODOK sucks or people are loving MODOK.
I'm on the I love mode. I
Is it
love
too
what they did.
ridiculous and you need to love it?
It's absurd. It's insane. You every time he shows up, you're gonna be like, "What am I looking at?" But I loved it because that's how I felt reading him in the comics. I was like,
Okay.
"What the hell is? How am I supposed to be afraid of this thing?" And it's just like this creature. Like, oh my
Yeah,
god,
yeah.
I love what they did. I really loved it.
All right. So it's gonna be.
It's
I'll see.
bizarre.
I
It's
think I'm gonna follow on
bizarre.
that end. It's just too weird. I just enjoy it. All right. So hopefully I see it tomorrow. My daughter wants to watch it, so we'll probably go
I
at some point tomorrow. Spend like $40 just to go watch that.
again,
Man.
I, I liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
I thought it was a good movie, but I think my issues are heightened because I'm seeing this trend with Marvel that they're making this huge spectacle movies,
Yeah.
and I think we should like make the scales a little bit smaller. Not everything has to be world-ending stakes in each movie.
She's funny because on their TV shows, they have been working because there's these smaller characters like Miss Marvel, just that family-driven show that's been great. Even She-Hulk was different. Hawkeye was different. But I
Yeah.
understand movies, we need to make a spectacle. But
The
yeah,
only one that was like world-ending was Moon Knight with the whole gods thing.
yeah, but still,
That's
we
fine.
didn't see any. All right, so we'll get into it. I'll watch it tomorrow and then do my own spoiler review next week.
Oh, Buck, you arrived late, my friend. Damn, dropped at the wrong time. Yes, you did.
Oh
Yes, you
no!
did, Buck. But we love you,
Yeah,
even though we make fun of you sometimes.
yeah. You just miss when we just talk crap about Ahsoka. No, he's going to unsubscribe. We didn't
Yep.
talk crap. We love Ahsoka. All right, so let's talk about the trailers that came out in the Super Bowl, at least the main ones, not Fast 27. I don't care about the Fast and the Furious. I know you liked it. Transformers, that's okay. I'll watch it on DVD when it comes out. Flat, what?
Oh, I haven't watched like the last 3 Transformers movies, I think.
I've watched them because my son used to love them. So, and then my brother-in-law loves them. He sent me the whole box set, so I have them somewhere. Yeah, it's like all of them. So I have them on digital. I have them on DVD on Blu-ray. So if you ever want them, we should do a rewatch here. No, we won't. Never.
I don't.
They're so bad, dude. After the second one, it's so bad. I like Bumblebee, and now they're going away from Bumblebee.
I haven't watched it.
That's great. That's a great Transformers movie because it's not Michael Bay and talking about spectacle, but some people love them. That's why we're getting another one.
Yeah.
All right. So the Flash. Finally, we got the trailer after all the drama, all the issues going out there. Is it gonna get canceled? Are they gonna recast and redo the whole movie? Ezra Miller will say it. I'm not a fan of all the allegations.
I mean, I wouldn't even say allegations. Like he's been arrested a couple times.
He's been arrested for fighting and stuff, things like that, but there are allegations of worse things, I believe.
Oh, yes.
Kidnapping, all that stuff.
Yes.
He's getting help, which we hope is true, or they are getting help, I should say. I am good sometimes if putting the art and the artist, separating them and being able to watch it. But if we're going to talk about it, we'll make comments. I wish he wasn't in this. Texting with my brothers. Hopefully after this, okay, thanks for your service and you're done with it. We don't need to see him again. So let's talk about the trailer because I think he's a pretty good Barry Allen. And the trailer did what trailers are supposed to do, and it's excite people for the movie that's coming out. And even if you're not a fan of The Flash, you got 2 Batmans, Batfleck, Michael Keaton, Supergirl, saw this back even though Man of Steel is not there. What are your thoughts on this Flash trailer? Are you excited to see this movie?
Okay, some preface. I am the kind of person that's been very, 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 very hard on. I won't even say hard. I think I've been just with Warner Brothers and how they constantly avoid talking about the issues they have, not just Ezra Miller, but J.K. Rowling also. But I haven't been very happy with how they've handled the Ezra thing, and I can't lie. They made the perfect trailer for me to go like one more chance. And I will say, like, go back on Robert Downey Jr.'s history as an actor.
Yeah.
Not a lot of good stuff in there in his early days. He went away. He got better.
Good time. He was in jail.
he did. Yeah, he did time. He came back. Nobody wanted to work with him. Even listen to the stories of Jon Favreau saying to Marvel, like, "I want to bring this guy to be Iron Man." They're like, "You're crazy. You're freaking crazy." And look how that turned out. So I am a believer that if he's sincere about getting help, he should get help and get better, because Ezra Miller is a phenomenal actor. He is. I've always liked their work, and I think there's room for them to get better and come back. But I really hope that those comments from Peter Safran, that they're getting them help, and helping Ezra be better. I really hope that's true, because I'm not a fan of what I've seen come out of from their mishaps. So we'll see. But the trailer on a vacuum, I thought it was insane. I loved it. I loved every single second of it.
Yeah, I'm on that same boat because I liked him as Barry Allen. I think they're a pretty good actor. So I'm not gonna on that point. And I was excited for the Flash when it got announced, even though it's gone through I don't know how many iterations and directors and writers. But it looks like they hit they hit a very nice point here, bringing Ben Affleck again to kind of finish up his stint as Batman. Kind of again more reserved at this point, since we kind of just take it easy. You're gonna mess up the world and all this. But the selling point is Michael Keaton, 1989 Batman being back. And I'm never just let's move on. But when you give me that music, that Danny Elfman music, when it showed up, I'm like, oh man, they got me. Also, I think Batman 89 it's the first movie that I remember. It might have been Batman Returns, but it still plays. The first movie I remember actually going to a theater, staying in line. Laguna Gardens in Puerto Rico, where there was still a movie theater out there. I know it's not. They used to have the best sound system, THX.
I was not born in 89.
Oh, sorry. It's my first sequel. I remember my dad took us, me, my brothers, one of our friends. So I very vividly remember that era. So I'm happy to see him back. And it got me. It looks interesting. I
mean,
Supergirl looks great.
I loved her. She looks amazing. And as someone who has read Flashpoint, I could quickly identify the things they're taking from the story, and it made me very, very excited. So I'm excited for this movie to come out and see everyone. And like you, I didn't see 89 in the theater because I hadn't been born, but I did have a box set of all 4 movies, and I remember going to see the last Schumacher one, Batman and Robin, in theaters. But again, Michael Keaton was a huge part of my development as a Batman fan, because as I was reading the comics, Batman Begins hadn't come out yet, so I loved those 4 movies, even though he was only in 2 of them. But I'm excited to have him back, and if they want to bring back Clooney, then let's do it. Val Kilmer, unfortunately, probably can't, but let's do it.
Yeah, in Batman Forever, I really like that movie, and I still watch it if it comes out. I'll watch. Okay, I haven't watched it in about 25 years, but when I like Jim Carrey being silly Riddler.
Man, Alden Diaz is always talking about Batman Forever, and I rewatched all those 4 movies right before the Batman.
Yeah,
I'll be honest, I don't think any of them hold up.
I'll say I just said that I haven't watched them in a decade, so maybe I'm in that same boat.
I mean, I didn't enjoy. I did, but it was so weird. They're all so weird. Maybe you should watch them.
I will eventually. I don't know. We'll see.
Buck has comments. Okay.
Oh no.
Here we go. Barry Allen is one of my favorite characters. Ezra never did Barry right. Love Ezra's acting, but dislike them as Barry. Even more so since I think Ezra would have been a better Wally West, which is the other Flash. I don't know if Buck agrees with that, but I've always thought that. I honestly like him as Barry Allen, but I've never had an attachment to Barry Allen in the comics because when I started reading comics, Barry Allen was dead, so he was never my Flash. So, and what else? Batman 89 was my first theater experience at age 3. Keaton is my Batman. Wow.
Man, I was 9 at this point. Were you? I gotta rethink all my.
I was -4.
This is a kids show. It's supposed to be not kids show. It's an all ages show. You already said shit once, so I can't keep saying it. Sorry to my kids if they're watching this.
You can't say the S word. I thought it was the S word. I thought it
I
was
mean,
the
I
episode.
don't. You can say whatever you want.
Oh, I
Try to-
can.
No.
I've been watching my mouth for a year now.
When we do the Spanish show, we'll just curse in Spanish all day.
Oh, that's gonna be hard not to do.
Yeah.
Would be great as impulse. Okay, maybe.
I don't know. Now you're going past my time. Too ahead of my time, I should say. The only thing I'm going to, just to end up with the Flash is there's a line where he says, "Oh, I made a world with no metahumans."
Yes.
And now the reports that Kang's Dynasty, the big Avengers film, it's a world without superheroes. It's the same thing. So we're just, everyone's doing the same thing.
By the way, that article gave us more of Kang than the movie did. More of his intentions, I'll say. Because he's in the movie a lot.
Yeah.
But
all right, so let's jump.
One last thing I wanted to mention. Ezra is in the movie like as two different characters. So makes sense why they can't just kick him out and make the movie.
I know. When I saw the trailer, there's no way they can redo this.
No way.
They're not gonna throw a bad girl and chuck it.
One last chance, Ezra.
Yeah, and even if the movie's great, they need to show some progress.
Oh yeah, no, that if the movie is the best movie ever, it doesn't erase what they did.
Sure. All right, so Guardian of the Galaxy 3 gave us their second trailer. We saw Star-Lord, we saw Gamora there back as the love interest, maybe not. The Supreme Intelligence, all the experiments he's doing. Groot to me looks weird. Adam Warlock, I'm very interested in Adam Warlock.
Have no idea how they're gonna integrate him in the story. Like every time we see the trailers and he shows up, I'm like, all right, he's in the movie.
Yeah. He should be a big part of it. He wasn't in the Infinity War, man. He needs to be a big part here. At least going forward. I don't know.
I think so, yeah. Because Infinity War was like his big story in the comics. So
yeah. So my brother, when I mentioned, was watching Ant-Man the other day. If you think I'm old, he's even older. So if I ever get you here, Jose, you're the old one of the family. The Infinity Gauntlet trilogy comic, that was his favorite thing. He wrote Silver Surfer was his favorite. He had Silver Surfer 1. He spent like $100 getting that one. And Adam Warlock is one of his favorite characters. So he's been pumped for him. So I'm hoping that they do justice for that character. Are you a fan of the Guardians trilogy? And now did this trailer do it for you? Are you excited for the movie?
I am. I'm very much a fan. I think that's my favorite Marvel franchise right now.
Okay.
At least in the MCU. I won't lie. I hadn't read a Guardians comic before that movie came out. I'm very excited. The movie looks great, and they keep pulling at those heartstrings.
Yeah.
There's a beat at the end I did not love, but
so the one they're carrying everyone, or no? It's Star-Lord and falling in love with
Nebula.
Yeah. I'm hoping that doesn't happen.
I'm hoping that's something that's going on in the movie. And
I wasn't the biggest fan of Volume 2. I enjoyed it.
Okay, I love it.
The first one, like I said, is probably my top 5, top 7 MCU movies. After all the Avengers, it's hard now to kind of think which are top 5. But I really loved that movie when it came out. Volume 2, I was a little bit disappointed, but I've only watched it twice. Maybe I'll probably watch it before the third one comes out. Maybe I'll change my tune. So I'm excited for this one, but not kind of, finally the third one is coming out. If I'm being honest, the trailers haven't sold me on it. I don't know really. It looks interesting. I like the Supreme Intelligence, right? That's the name. Whatever his name is. I don't know.
I can't remember. Is this Supreme Intelligence?
No, that's from
the Captain Marvel thing.
Whatever. The guy with he was in Peacemaker, which I love his acting in Peacemaker. So he looks great. Again, Adam Warlock, very interested to see where that story goes, because he was introducing the second one from this cocoon, just mentioned. But I don't know what the story is. Is it about these experiments that he's doing, trying to make people better? Rocket Raccoon say he just doesn't like how things are. And like you said, emotional beats. We're all thinking that Rocket is gonna die at the end of this.
I don't know if Rocket's dying, but those scenes with Baby Rocket being tortured are gonna...
they're hard. This is something they've been building up since the first one. So that's gonna be, I don't know. I miss old Groot. Baby Groot was fine. Teenage Groot was okay. This 20-year-old Groot just looks weird to me. Is it a prosthetic? Is it CG?
Is it
doesn't
Vin
have a
Diesel
neck.
crouching?
Maybe he said, Put me there. It's family. I gotta be there." So I don't know. I enjoyed it, but I'm not. Yay! That trailer really sold
Okay.
it for me. But
No,
we'll see.
I'm very excited.
I'll watch it. And then the last one, just to finish up, changing pace a little bit. Indiana Jones 5. Very excited for this one. I rewatched Crystal Skull about 2 weeks ago. Enjoyed it a lot more than I did when it came out. The monkey scene, yeah, that you can cut that out. I don't need to see Shia LaBeouf just going Tarzan all over the place because it was bad. I'll say it was bad. But everything else, I enjoyed it. It was pretty entertaining, and it looks great. You have Harrison Ford. Who else showed up? Matt Mikkelsen, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Boyd Holbrook. Even if it was a 30-second spot, we don't know the story. I'm into it, and this is one that I really want to see. And with James Mangold directing, I expect a very good movie.
Yeah, I got the urge to watch Logan earlier today, so I'll probably watch it later tonight. So I'll be in that James Mangold mood. I'm excited. I've never been the biggest Indiana Jones fan. I like those movies, but I've never been the. So when Crystal Skull came out, I wasn't like, oh, the sacrilege. I was like, yeah, it wasn't as good as the rest of them, but I don't really like that movie, having rewatched it since it came out, but it's fine. I'm excited. I will say there are some scenes in the trailer that remind me a lot of Crystal Skull, which have me a little bit worried, just a little bit. But I'm excited. I'll be there first for the first screening available. For sure.
Go watch Temple of Doom, and then you'll see. Okay, it's not that bad. So
I like Temple of Doom. I'm one of those people.
I went in a weird order. I watched Raiders of the Lost Ark, and this is since last year. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Then I went to Crusades, which is my favorite one. And then about a month and a half ago, I watched Temple of Doom. Not good. And then I watched Crystal Skull. And comparing those two, Crystal Skull, at least for myself, was a lot better.
I like Temple of Doom because of the horror elements to it.
Okay. But it's so weird also that then there's aliens in this one. It's like, did you watch Temple of Doom? They're ripping people's heart out. There's zombies.
And in Raiders of the Lost Ark, someone's face melts.
Yeah, face melts. There's ghosts in the Last Crusade. There's Templars ghosts. So these movies are weird. All right, so
they are.
So I don't mind it too much. All right, so that brings an end to our show today. Thanks for everyone for joining us. A lot of great comments. Everyone in the chat. Bug, thanks for being here. Brennan, hopefully you didn't unsubscribe. Dale, Mo, obviously Subdo. Thanks you all for being here today. Of course, Oti, thanks for being here. You're posting again on your other podcast. You have your reviews about movies and shows. Where can people find you?
Yeah, I have two podcasts. I have Film Not Included, which is a Spanish podcast, and I have El Podcast Star, which is a Spanish podcast also. I've been posting Film Not Included, not Star Wars one, so life gets in the way. It's fine, you know. Yeah. You can find me over at Twitter and Instagram at EP9.
You can find right there. You will see that on the show notes also. And thanks for joining us. Like I said, we'll be back next week with Bad Batch talk and anything else Star Wars related, and more of The Last of Us, who comes back tomorrow. So make sure to join us. We'll be here next week. And as always, stay safe, be safe, get those toys ready, and may the Force be with you.